What's going on, guys? It's Keith Frizzle with Think Stocks, and in this video we are going to talk about the ETF SPY. Now, I know you guys have heard me before talk about the SPY or the Standard & Poor's 500. I may call it the market as well, but I realized maybe not everyone knows exactly what it is. They hear about it, they think they know about it, but they really don't. In this video, we're going to cover everything you need to know about the SPY and exactly what is inside it. Okay, so like I said before, the SPY is known as the market. And when I say SPY, I really mean the Standard & Poor's 500 or the S&P 500. The SPY or the SPY is an ETF, which stands for Exchange Traded Fund. Pretty much what an exchange traded fund is a security that will try to mirror an index. So when you hear people talk about indexes, what they are meaning is either the Standard & Poor's 500 or the NASDAQ or maybe a foreign index as well. It's pretty much a group of companies that forms the economy. So I could try to explain it, but let's jump over to the computer and here's a much better explanation of what the SPY is. So here it is. This is the SPY or the S&P 500. This is every single stock that makes up the Standard & Poor's 500. So we could see Microsoft, Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Home Depot, McDonald's, Johnson & Johnson, PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, just to name a few big ones. There's also some smaller ones that you might know. There's ExxonMobil, Stryker Corporation, which actually creates all of the stretchers on ambulances. We got Verizon and AT&T. We got Activision and EA Sports. Pretty much this shows every single company that's wrapped up in the S&P 500 index, and it's broken down into different sectors. So we have the technology sector, the communication services, consumer clinical. You can read all of these, and this is exactly what the S&P 500 is made up of. Now again, I want to reiterate, an index is not an ETF, and an ETF is not an index. All an ETF does is it tries to mirror an index. So the S&P 500 has these 500 companies. So the ETF SPY will be made up of these 500 holdings as well. So it's starting to make sense. So whether you're using Robinhood or TD Ameritrade, whatever platform it might be, let's just jump on the computer again. And here's Robinhood. This is the SPY or the Standard & Poor's 500 ETF. If we scroll down, you can see the About section. SPY tracks a market cap weighted index of the U.S. large and mid cap stocks selected by the S&P committee. So a committee actually names all 500 of these companies to be part of the index, and this ETF is mirroring that. So yes, you could own all 500 companies or a small portion of all 500 companies, $336 as I'm recording this. Now, what's great about investing in an ETF like the SPY is it's very hands-off. It is the most passive form of investing. You just set up your brokerage account, maybe $250, $1,000 a month, whatever it might be, and you just put it into the SPY, and you don't have to do anything. You get to sit back and relax and watch compound interest work its magic. However, here's something pretty interesting. Not everyone is a fan of the SPY, believe it or not. And here's why. As you can see in this article, the 5 biggest companies compared to the 495 smallest companies in the SPY outperforms them significantly. You can see in this chart from 2013 to 2017, the performance of the big 5, which includes Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, and Amazon. I'm pretty sure those are the 5 biggest. It has gone up 226% compared to the bottom 495. only a very small 26%. So you might be thinking, hold on, if that's the case, why invest the entire S&P 500 when I could just choose maybe the 5 biggest stocks or the 10 biggest stocks? Now here's another thing I want you to look at really quick. We're back on Finviz, and this is the S&P 500. So it's actually made up of 505 companies, at least said by Finviz. And if we look at the yearly performance of all of the companies, you could see a bunch of these companies are not part of the big 5. There's Apple. Apple is definitely up there at 124% for the year. But there are some companies, there are a lot of companies that are part of the lower 495 that has had some massive returns. A great example is NVIDIA. NVIDIA is one of the top 100 companies. I actually think it's one of the top 20 or 10. But it's still made up of that bottom 495, and it's gone up $189 in the past year. You could also see Dexcom. I don't even know what company that is. There's AMD. You could see there's a bunch of other companies that are part of that lower 495 that still do amazing throughout the year. What's really dragging the bottom 495 down is a lot of these smaller companies that are being affected by the economy. One of the worst right now is Carnival Cruise Line at negative 66%. And you can see there are plenty of companies that have lost over 50% over the course of a year. And obviously, because we're in the coronavirus, you could see Delta Airlines, Royal Caribbean Cruise. It's no surprise that these companies are dragging the market down. So if you were to ask me, I think the SPY is a great ETF to invest in. You are getting a very broad aspect of the market with a whole bunch of different companies. You're more than enough diversified, and you don't need to worry about which company will be the top one, because we don't know. In 5, 10, 20 years from now, Apple may not be one of the biggest companies anymore. There could be a smaller company that can become one of the big 5 companies. Perfect example is Amazon. Rewind 20 years ago, it was a blip on the radar. So that's why, even though the top 5 companies have outperformed the market exponentially, that doesn't matter, because being in the S&P 500, being exposed to that many stocks can give you these great opportunities. Perfect example is Domino's Pizza. From 2010 to 2020, Domino's Pizza had the second or third best performance in the entire market. The top 3 were Netflix, Domino's Pizza, and Market Access. Those 3 companies were the best performers, and they're not part of the big 5. But that's all I have for you for the S&P 500 and the SPY ETF. I hope you now have a better understanding of what the SPY is. And if you have any questions, drop it below in those comments. Make sure to hit that subscribe and like button, and I'll see you in the next one.